A lead isn't a lead until you take them off the app. That's what one Icon agent discovered about using Instagram to generate real clients in her business. Welcome to the Big Agent Meeting. I'm Russ Lagan, your Vice President of Training here at eXp Realty. And this is where we break down strategies real estate agents are using right now to grow their business, sharpen their skills, and tell you what you need to know to stay ahead in this changing market. Coming up in about 10 minutes, we have Brokerage Brief with Holly Mabery. You're going to want to stay tuned for that. And you're not going to want to miss the Big Agent Meeting exclusive conversation with Chief Marketing Officer Wendy Forsythe, talking about her new book that teaches you how to scale your business without losing your life and the business you're trying to build in the process. But let's talk about something practical right out of the gate here. Social media can feel like a lot of noise for real estate agents. But when it's done right, it can be a powerful tool to take your business to the next level. So in today's lab notes, we're looking at a system Icon agent Amy Gregory uses to turn Instagram engagement into real leads. This is a real person doing real business right now. In this clip, Brian Ellington sits with Amy to walk down how this works for her. Take a look at it.
I'm curious, when you think about social media in your real estate sales business, what are the platforms that you're using? I assume you're probably using a lot of them, but what are the ones that are more effective for you?
So I'm using Instagram is my primary one, but I have a whole system behind it. So like you said, it's a CRM, and so a lead is not a lead until you take them off of the app. So you cannot until you have them off of that app, they're not really a lead. And so the question agents need to understand is like, well, do you have a system for taking them off the app? And if the answer is no, you probably don't need to be posting to social media.
Okay. Well, so take me kind of through the funnel there. So let's start at the top. You say I'm using Instagram.
Okay. So if I go here, so this is like this is a piece of content that actually brings in buyers and sellers, right? And so I have like a specific real formula. I have a specific recipe I follow. I have AI automations, and they funnel right into my website. So here's the headline that is going to stop the scroll. I'm going to hit play so you can watch it unfold. Mm-hmm. So here's the truth. Okay, how not to be an annoying client is like kind of funny. And people will kind of like, wow, that's aggressive, or that feels like rude, which is why they stop the scroll, right? I also tell agents they should film in their car. We're like known for being in our car all the time. And you always have good lighting. And then right here, this is all strategic. Here's how with the arrow down so that they click to read that. Then when they click on this, the caption will come up and kind of fill the screen here. And as they're reading the caption, this video is looping behind. Like the video is very short, so it's looping behind, which tells Instagram, oh, they have watched this reel 10 times, 15 times, 20 times, right? And so it will go show it to more people, just like the person that viewed it, right? Instagram knows more about you than your wife does, let's be real. And so now the caption is, here's how not to be an annoying client. And I talk about setting a budget and shopping inside your budget. And I kind of say it in a funny way of like, I know, like you don't want your friend telling you that like that's your husband's job is to tell you like B word with a capital B talking about budget. But I talk about managing your expectations. And if you shop outside your budget, you're always going to be disappointed with what you're buying, And then at the end, it says something like, if you need to hire a realtor in the next 3 to 6 months, you can comment the word hire, and you can download my free guide of how to hire a realtor that can whatever. So then they give me their email address, right? And I give them my guide. And what's really, really great about that is that now they're in my funnel. And then there's a whole email series. So that brings in buyers, that brings in sellers, and it also brings in like outgoing referrals. Because yes, I'm in Phoenix, but there's nothing stopping me from helping someone in Orlando who's moving to Dallas find an agent in both cities and pull referrals off of that. And I really like the hourly rate on outgoing referrals. That's a great hourly rate.
Yeah, no kidding.
I have 103,000 followers. Okay. And that's because I understand how to go viral. And so part of it is this is all just math to me. And it's like baseball is a sport of failure, but you have to stay in the batter's box, right? When you look at like professional baseball players, I mean, like what 350 is a great batting average, right?
Yeah.
That actually kind of sucks if you really think about it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, whereas if you look at like a Steph Curry free throw shooting percentage, he's like it's super high, right? And so for me, I look at posting content like I just have to get up to bat every single day. And if I just get up to bat every single day, I'm going to hit more home runs, right? But statistically, even in the majors, those guys are not hitting very many home runs. Like you would think that why can't they hit a home run every single time? They're so technical, they're so skilled, but it is a sport. And so for me, business is just a sport and it's a math equation. And so I just say, I'm going to get in the batter's box and take my swings. And every time I take a swing, I learn how to swing better.
Got it. And you said, I've learned how to go viral. And by that, I take it to mean that you've learned how to go outside of your 130,000 followers.
This is why reels are so important, because reels are shown to people who are not following you.
Wow, fantastic clip of a conversation Brian Ellington had with Amy Gregory. Thank you, Amy, for your information. I love how she talks about stopping the scroll and getting people to actually hook into your information. So this conversation between Brian and Amy was pulled directly from Icon Lead Mastery Instagram Workshop. If you guys don't know what that is, that workshop is where we break down the full system behind the strategies like the one Amy shared for creating content, starting conversations, and building simple funnels that turn engagement into real clients. So if building visibility in your pipeline through Instagram is something you want to do better this year, I'd love to have you join me for that session. To tell you more about how you can see me and join me on the Instagram session, Icon Lead Mastery Instagram, is Alyssa Speck.
Thank you, Russ. All right, the Icon Lead Mastery Instagram Workshop. It is happening on March 26th, and it is designed to show agents how top producers are actually turning Instagram into a real lead source. So Russ is going to walk you through the systems behind the content, behind the engagement, behind the follow-up, showing how agents are creating consistent visibility and turning those conversations into clients. And when you register, you're going to receive the Lead Mastery Playbook featuring Belle Tunstall, and she's going to show you the 10 post client formula. So this playbook shows how Belle turns one client into 10 pieces of Instagram content. She's documenting the journey from the first appointment to touring homes, to the closing day, to the celebration, and creating consistent engagement and new opportunities all along the way. So guys, now it's time to register at expuniversity.com/lead-mastery-Instagram. And now for those of you who are building and leading teams, listen up. We are hosting our monthly Team Mastery Mastermind this week. This is our university mastermind open to all EXP team leaders, regardless of your production level, where some of EXP's most talented, successful team leaders break down how they build, how they scale, and how they retain top talent. And throughout this week, we're also going to be publishing new training over on the EXP Realty YouTube channel. We're talking about tactical breakdowns from top agents and some additional clips from the Lead Mastery series. You can find all of those resources and upcoming sessions at expuniversity.com. All right, back to you, Russ.
All right, thanks, Alyssa Speck. And again, jump in, Icon Lead Mastery on Instagram. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys on that. So next up, we have Holly Mabery with the Brokerage Brief. She's always got something good. Holly, what do you got this week?
The 21st Century Road to Housing Act is the biggest legislation to pass in the last 10 years. And the Senate just passed it on Thursday. Well, what does it mean next? The House needs to move it forward, and then it will go to the president's desk to sign. Well, what's good in it? And I want to break this down with you. More homes could get built because we have almost a $5 billion deficit when it comes to homes that we need out there. And also buying a home with a smaller loan just got a little bit easier. Manufactured housing is going to be a little bit easier to get loans on, and rural housing will have some more finance options, which I'm excited about. VA loan benefits also looks like those are going to get better. And then finally, some federal red tape. Now, let's talk about what's still being debated in all of this, the large investors. And that's been a topic of conversation. Like the president has come out and said, hey, we're going to get rid of large investors making investments in all these communities and taking housing away from, people who want to live in it, and making them rentals. Okay, we've already established that on the whole, large investors are owning about 350 more units or more units. But that's like 0.7% of the inventory, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But they're going to outlaw them. Okay, cool. What I want you to know, though, is the investors that impact housing the most are the individual investors, my mom and dad, individuals that maybe own one, 3, 5 homes in an area, and they make them rentals. It's an investment. So it becomes one of those kind of tedious situations where on paper, the headline looks really grabby, but behind the scenes, it's not quite there yet. And so the rules for how large investors may sell those properties or buy anything new, we've already seen some of that legislation pass in New York. But what that looks like nationally still remains to be seen. Also, the average first-time homebuyer is 40. So when we start to think about affordability, it's really about what people can afford, what does it look like, and affordability is really key because you're looking at things like healthcare, college or student loan debt, entry-level jobs. All of that is compressing what people can purchase right out of the gate. So I love that this has passed. I think it's a positive step forward. Is it everything and all that? Nah, maybe. What I want you to know and what you want to watch next is the House is going to vote. There are going to be a lot of trade groups that come out, including the National Association of Realtors, who has been very positive around this. I think it's important for us to look at what the House may strengthen or weaken out of the Senate bill. And we don't really have a timeline for next. So let's talk about you with your clients right now. The goal is always, this is promising, but it's not law yet. So really, we are focused on today, what makes a difference as you are putting your house on the market, as you're looking at properties. That's the most key thing we can consider. Now, the Fed meets this next week, and right now it's about a 97% chance, if you're, going to Vegas on this, that they don't lower rates. It's just not going to happen. And so the Fed's going to meet, likely to stay stagnant. But the good news is, even with everything happening in the world and the geopolitical unrest, if you will, the war, everything is staying right around 6%. So that bodes well for housing. If you've got folks on the fence looking at, hey, do I sell? Great. We're in springtime. What is the market telling you in your location? Real estate is local. That's what's important out of all of this. Now, back to the road to housing in this bill. The other thing that I want to bring to you is everything is local. So yes, we're going to have a federal bill pass. Yes, there may be some things that benefit across the nation, but when it comes to affordability, impacting planning and zoning, getting more properties built or housing built, that's really going to come local to your planning and zoning commission, either in your city, town, or your county. And so I want you to be very thoughtful how you are interacting with people. The federal government doesn't solve all. What's happening local matters. And so talk to people that are serving on the Planning and Zoning Commission. What are their thoughts? What are their thoughts around subdivisions? What are their thoughts on easing auxiliary dwelling units or in-law setups, if you will? That is the key as we look forward to housing. And also, are they going to ease what it costs for a builder to build? Those are going to be probably the priorities as we consider interest rates staying right around 6%. I'll have more as we go forward in this month. And of course, like all legislation, we keep a keen eye on it so you can better relate to your clients, what it means to them as they look to buy or sell this spring. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, there you go. Holly Mabery, always bringing the fire, bringing you the good stuff, making sure you know what's going on in the world, in the industry of real estate. All right, next up, I'm super happy today to be able to interview one of my favorite people in the world. I wrote it in my book, so it's proof she's one of my favorite people in the world. And the one and only Wendy Forsythe just launched her book called The X Factor. Wendy, welcome. Check.
Thank you, Russ. I'm so happy to be here.
Hey, whose has more dog ears?
Well, mine is actually a galley coffee, so you've got like the real thing.
There you go. Beautiful. I've got a couple of those floating around. They're like edit 1, edit 2, edit 3.
Yes, exactly. That's what you go through.
So here's the cool part. You start off the book by saying we all have an X factor, and I absolutely love that. So tell me what the X factor is.
Yes, the X factor is what makes us unique. It is our personality. It is our drive. It is how we show up. And I believe we all start our real estate careers driven by our X factor. That's what we believe when we get our real estate license is I'm going to start my real estate career because I can do it differently. Yes. I have something special I can bring to buyers and sellers to help make their experience of buying and selling real estate special, different than maybe my experience was, or different than what I believe other real estate professionals are offering. And then we get into the business and we get just barreled over by the business, right?
Agreed.
The grind, the hustle, the how we should do it, how we're told we should do it by the training and by the environment of our offices and everyone around us. And what I've observed over my career is it becomes so hard to hang on to that X factor.
Yeah.
And we start to believe that maybe our X factor isn't how we should do it. And maybe that isn't the right way. And maybe we aren't so special. Maybe we aren't special enough. And we start to question ourselves. We start to try things the way everyone else is doing it. And we get on this rat race, right? We get on this treadmill of real estate. And that is where I see a lot of people start to lose the enjoyment of the business. And I see a lot of people, even when they're making money in the business, lead to burnout.
Yeah.
And I believe that right now is the very worst and most difficult time, given everything that's happening in the industry, to lose your X factor. So I wanted to create a framework to help all of us hang on to what makes us brilliant and our own superpower, our own X factor.
Yeah. So I love the fact that you actually broke it down. So it's kind of interesting because you're not just reading a book, you're actually like kind of co-authoring the best you, the X factor you, alongside you as you're reading through the book. So you broke down into 6 elements: focus, attraction, community, technology, operations, and resilience. And I can personally say, I've seen you exhibit all of those traits while we've worked together for so many years. I've seen you exhibit so many of those traits, and particularly some of those ones where you're like, why do we have to get more resilience? Seen some of those.
So it's actually focus, action, community, technology, operations, and resilience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the fact you start with focus.
Yes.
Why did you start? Why did you start with focus?
Yes, because you have to have focus. And part of where people lose their X factor is they start to focus on too many things, right? Yes, and we all can be guilty of that. We start to say yes to everything, or we start to not focus on the right things. And then we start to get really frustrated when we're not moving the needle forward. And we're feeling like we're busy all the time, but we're not seeing the results that we want. So focus is the first element of maintaining our X factor, because if we don't focus on the right things, we're not going to have the results that we want.
I love that you dig right into the identify the things in your business that move your business forward, because we ask that all the time as a coach, like, what's working for you? And they say, I don't know. Like,
I don't know. Yes, you have to know that.
absolutely got to know that. So, talk to me more about aligning with your strengths, because I see so many people doing the stuff that they don't love and doing things out of integrity. Like, they hate getting cold called, but they're out there cold calling people. Like,
Yes.
how do you align with your strengths? Talk about that a little bit more.
Yes, I think that is where your X factor really shines. And when people get out of alignment with their strengths, that's when frustration goes up and that's when enjoyment goes down. And there's nothing that will drain your energy faster than getting out of alignment with your strengths. And Russ, you and I have both been there.
Totally.
And there's parts of all of our days where you have to do things
Yeah.
that are not in alignments with your strength, but it can't be the majority of your day.
Yeah.
So you have to get in alignment with your strength. So bring that back to sort of production in our real estate business. You've got to build your business around the revenue driving activities that are in alignment with your strengths. So understanding that and leaning into that part of your superpower, your X factor, and building a business around that. That's how we see people who have long-term, successful, enjoyable, high-producing businesses.
Yeah.
That is one of the keys to their longevity in the business, is they have done that. So doing that is really, really important. So one of the things I encourage people in the book is spend some time really understanding that. Or if you feel you're out of alignment, spend some time thinking about that. And at the end of each chapter, and there are 6 chapters that take you through each of the 6 pillars of factor of the framework. There, I end each chapter with a reflection of asking some questions. Exactly. There you go. To help you sort of get in alignment and have a reflection on what we've talked about in that chapter to help you kind of move forward. And layer on the framework as you go into the next. Because when you think of focus then layers on getting into action.
Yes.
Then focus and action will layer on into building your community. Focus, action, community will layer on into technology. So each pillar layers on into the next one, and they all work together in building the framework.
Yeah, it's fascinating, really, because I'm watching as I was going through. I'm like, I see how this builds on this and this, and you literally have it in the right order too. Like, don't even worry about the technology thing. Get the focus handled first, and then my favorite quote in the action chapter: "Action solves everything."
Action solves everything. I literally had this conversation with somebody this week. They were dealing with a challenge of feeling like something wasn't happening in their business. And I just said, you just need to start. They wanted to have it all figured out.
Yes.
And it's like, you don't need to have it all figured out.
Yeah.
You just need to start. And you need to start with the simplest of things by creating an invitation. Invite people to a mastermind. Just make the invitation. Like, you just need to start getting into action. Action will solve everything.
Yeah, it's action, and then just keep doing the same thing over and over. I also like the way you dug into thinking about the business in your life in 90-day cycles too, because I think I look too short, way too often, or way too far. And really, that sweet spot is that, like, 90 days out. That was an eye opener for me, because that was for me an aha. Yeah. I was like, that really is kind of where I'm at now, is starting to think more 90-day blocks. Where did that come from?
Yes. Well, this comes from my athletic days, and particularly, and I tell this story in the book, I learned this from training for marathons. So I've been a marathon runner for a number of years, and I learned this for the first time from one of my marathon coaches. And we trained for our marathon. So a marathon is 26.2 miles. Mm-hmm. And when you're training for a marathon, you typically train in 90-day blocks. And I asked my marathon coach, like, why do you train in 3 month and 90-day blocks? And he said, like, Wendy, like, you cannot train in 4 months and 6 months in 1 year blocks. It's too much. It's too much physically, and it's too much mentally for a person, an athlete, to think about. And I think of us as entrepreneurs, as business people, as athletes. I think the mindset is very similar to an athlete's mindset to an entrepreneur's mindset. So that 90-day cycle, it's long enough to create change, to see results, but it's short enough that you don't get overwhelmed. So you can think, I can do it in 90 days. I see the runway in 90 days.
Yeah.
I can change the behaviors in 90 days, and it's movable enough, quickly enough that you can see momentum. And when you can see momentum, when you get into action and see momentum and see results and get excited about that, you're creating energy. And when we create positive energy, then it's easier to see more and more momentum.
Yeah.
And when we see that momentum, then we're getting excited about it. That is when our X factors really start to shine.
Yes.
Like when we get into that natural place of excitement, then really good things happen. And that's when we get into that flow state.
Yes.
And that happens as athletes, right? When you get into flow, the athletic mindset, we'll talk about that a lot. It happens the same way as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
When you get into flow, and we see it as agents, one deal happens, one listing happens, one call we get, another call gets, all of a sudden things are just going.
Moving. Yeah.
You're like, I don't know. Like, it's just the business is this happening now. Well, it happened because of the action. And when you think in terms of 90 days, you'll get that started, but it all starts with the right action.
Yeah. And starts with actually moving. So the one thing you said in the book was move more. That's not a suggestion.
Move more.
Not a suggestion.
And, we're both standing up, right? We're moving now, right? Like movement is such an incredible, powerful thing for all of us. And it's why, a lot of us exercise first thing in the morning, right? Yes. It gets our mindset going. It gets our body going. And I talk in the book about how important it is to connect, the physical and the mental part of the business.
Yes.
Because your X factor lives there in that connection, and that superpower will come out when you make that connection and keep that connection strong. Absolutely.
All right. And to finish off, the one thing that is a complete caveat that I don't see a whole lot of people do ever is 100% of the proceeds for your book are going to charity called Extend a Hand. Tell me about that.
Yes. So that is EXP's charitable donation, Extend a Hand. So we support our EXP agents in time of need.
Yep.
So disaster, medical, financial needs, our EXP agents can apply to Extend a Hand for a grant to help them. So I'm a trustee on the Extend a Hand board. And I knew when I started this project that is where I wanted the proceeds of the book to go. And one of the things that we're not good at as real estate agents is that rainy day.
Yeah.
And we hope that rainy day never comes. But when it comes, we as an EXP community are so tremendous at stepping up for one another. And I saw it through the LA fires. I saw it through the hurricanes on the East Coast last year. So as I was working through the book throughout 2025, I was like, this is how I want to give back to the EXP community. So through the support of Extend a Hand, we partnered together. We're doing a big fundraiser through all of the sales rallies starting next week all across the country. So if you're out at a sales rally, a $25 donation will get you a copy of the book, and that the proceeds will go back to Extend a Hand. So go out, support our local agents who are putting on the sales rally, support Extend a Hand. It's a win-win-win-win situation for everyone.
All right, there you go. Wendy Forsythe, Chief Marketing Officer for EXP Realty, a person I consider a friend, and you make my heart sing watching you do something that gives back to the community. I love the way you roll. You're a beacon for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
There's some days that I love my job, and there's some days I love my job a lot. And days like that was when I get to interview people like Wendy Forsythe. Fantastic conversation, fantastic human being, and taking it to the next level for Extend a Hand, which I absolutely love. All right, so there you go. That is the show for today, Friday the 13th. I'm not scared. Friday the 13th worked out pretty good today for Big Agent Meeting. I'm glad you guys were able to be here. Check out the NPS survey. Every week we get a survey for you guys. Tell us what we're doing well, what we're doing differently. Hope you like my new background. I'm going to be using this on occasion here for Big Agent Meeting in the future. And I'll look forward to seeing you guys next Friday on the Big Agent Meeting.